Um, the sense I get in today's world, in terms of today's hiring atmosphere, is that successful companies are trying to turn their employees into entrepreneurs, similar to, at least in the thinking process, similar to the initial founder, if you will, of that particular company. Example: for instance, companies are trying to make employees owners or part owners of those companies by giving them stock options, by giving them a piece of the pie, if you will, to move the thinking around. You're not necessarily an employee now. In added to that, you are an employee, obviously, because you have an employment contract. But in added to that, you are now a part owner of this company. I had an old boss. He always telling me, like, treat it as if you own it. And if just imagine if you own the company, what would decision would be your decision would be if you own the company. And I think the movement to that, it adds a lot of partaking responsibility for employees and for owners. You're getting closer now to the thinking of the employer in terms of driving the company forward. Are you seeing that, or is that what you're exhibiting out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think to a certain degree, I believe that to be true, and I think beyond ownership, there's profit sharing. People are using there's a variety of ways to show people that they're a contributor member of the team, and without them, you couldn't be as successful as you are. I think that is critically important. In fact, I would say that uh, the most frustration I would have as a manager was if I saw someone doing something that I thought was not in the best interest of the company and was in the best interest of them. And I would take that almost personally, that, why did you not think of that customer in a different way? And I would own that, because I would say, I've done something wrong here, because you as that employee should care as much about that customer as I do. And if they're not, then I haven't done a good job of extending the values that I think are important to the company, and therefore important to our customers. So I would agree with you. I think also, we're finding that candidates today are doing much more research on the companies that they're applying to. This is maybe it's easier to do than it used to be, because you can certainly find out everything you need to know about the potential employer. But we are finding that if a candidate sees a job posting, good. Now, there are a percentage of candidates that just, as you say, swipe right, yes, swipe no, to not apply to a job, and there are a number of those. And I don't think they're very successful at finding a job. But the candidates that are successful in finding good work are very research oriented when it comes to the company. So right away they go to the website. What is the company doing? What's the value that they bring? Do I want to work for a company that builds XY? Do I want to work for a company that sells software to these kinds of customers? That kind of thing. They also go and look at the executive team. LinkedIn has become a very great research tool beyond a lot of other things it does. But I can find the entire C-suite of a small, medium-sized company on LinkedIn, and then I go and look at those people and find out what they do. Are they involved in philanthropy or not? Are they involved in social or are they not? And then I start to get a perspective and an attitude toward that company. Do I want to work there, and do I want to apply for those jobs? So those are areas that Pivot and End spends a lot of time in, making sure that social front to a candidate is available to them to have a look. So one of the first things we would do is look at the C-suite. Are you on LinkedIn? Do you have good, clean profiles? Can they find out more about you? And we do a lot of additional marketing work to provide that kind of detail and information to candidates, so that they get a sense of what the company's like.